Yo, what up, world? Welcome to the Fives of the Week podcast, episode 119, brought to you by 24th Street Pizza. It's your boy, Fillie. And as you can see, I'm rolling solo today. Easter week's a busy week for Grandmaster B, Hollywood alike, so I'm just going to try to rock it out and hold down the fort just for now. We do have a WrestleMania special. That'll be episode 120 coming out later this week, so if you're a wrestling fan, feel free to check it out. I know the SummerSlam one did really well, so looking forward to breaking that down on the nights of April 6th and April 7th. Big show, WrestleMania 40, live from Philadelphia. So we all need to acknowledge the tribal chief. Damn you. Couple notes real quick. Shout out to my cousin Allie. Happy birthday. Also, Gin and Tonic are going to be performing live at Salerno's Tavern on March 29th at 25677 Van Born Road in Taylor, Michigan. So shout out to Mark and the boys. They did a great job over there at Grady's and More, Sports and More, sorry. Hell of a time on St. Patty's Day. So I'm looking forward to getting with them on May the 4th, Cinco de Mayo weekend. It's going to be live. It's going to be fantastic. I cannot wait to throw down with the boys and put our first live show together, man. You know, it's something that we've talked about for years now, and these types of things are starting to come to fruition. And it just goes to show you keep grinding and good things will happen. So let's talk news, man. News, sports, notes, more, whatever the hell you want to call it, man. Let's talk about this Baltimore bridge collapse. So we have 6 people missing. Officials said the investigation was moving slowly while rescuers searched the water. Construction workers were on the bridge when a cargo ship rammed into it after losing power. So, I mean, talk about an unfortunate situation. I mean, this is, it's very sad. Anytime you have a catastrophic event like this, it's something you never want to hear. It's kind of uncomfortable to talk about, you know, because you don't know all the details why this happened. I guess it'd be similar to, from the video I saw, you know, an overloaded truck or a truck too high going under an overpass, which I know happens time to time. The video is kind of disturbing, but it is online. You can find it. And it looks like it hits the bridge, loses power again, and then it looks like something out of a movie. It's kind of scary because it just crumbles, you know, and just prayers to the family, you know, thoughts and prayers for sure. So what we know, I'm just going to read a little bit here. Federal investigators said that they were beginning what could be a long search for answers about how a massive cargo ship struck a major bridge minutes after leaving the port of Baltimore early Tuesday. The ship's crew issued a warning that it had lost power, giving officials a brief chance to stop cars and try to evacuate the span before it fell into the river. 6 construction workers who had been fixing potholes on the span, the Francis Scott Key Bridge, remained missing on Tuesday afternoon as divers and other emergency workers on boats and helicopters searched for them. The National Transportation Safety Board, which is leading the inquiry, said its investigators were holding back while the search continued. Now, I know President Biden came out and said that, you know, the government is hopefully going to have to pay for all this. You know, this is just a catastrophic incident. You know, it's been declared a state of emergency. My heart goes out, man. You know, it's a big industrial pathway. You know, so businesses are going to be affected on a daily basis. You know, that's people's livelihood, man, on a daily. So, man, shout out to Baltimore. I really hope that, you know, they can recover, you know, the families, you know, thoughts and prayers again. It's just a very, very sad situation. In other news, one thing I wanted to bring up was the NFL and its rule changes. So I'm going to play this quick little snippet here I found online, and we'll talk about it.
The NFL has banned the hip drop tackle. All right, and defenders across the NFL are openly complaining about the new rule change. Defenders don't know how they're going to defend. They don't know how they're going to bring their opposing offensive players to the ground next season, but this is a rule change that coaches, general managers, team owners believe that player safety, especially regarding, knees, lower leg injuries, was at the forefront of the decision here. The NFL discovered that there was 230 instances of hip drop tackles last season, and only 15 players were injured. The most notable is Baltimore Ravens tight end Mark Andrews' broken leg and could not help the Ravens in the playoffs last season. But still, the overlying theme here is player safety will always prevail, and NFL defenders need to find better ways to tackle and bring down their opposing players on offense.
Now, I understand this is going to come as a polarizing topic. It's going to be talked about at length. You know, is the game going soft? It's clear what they want to do. They want to make it a more exciting game, right? They want to sell tickets, and offense sells tickets. And, you know, as you saw in the Super Bowl, when you got two good defenses at the end, games get tight, and those types of games kind of win the championships, right? But I think the way the game's changing, you're going to see more high-power, high-velocity offenses, and the rules are just changing in that regard. They also changed the kickoff rule. So now there's the element of surprise for an onside kick is not going to be there. I don't know the rule in depth, but from what I've seen online, kicker kicks off from the same launch point. I believe the 35-yard line or 30-yard line is the mark where teams line up, and you can pursue once the receiver touches the ball. Should be interesting. That was live in the XFL, you know, and I think you're gonna see a lot of those rules kind of intertwined in the NFL moving forward. Going back to the hip drop tackle, I understand, you know, you want to protect your marquee players, your money makers and all that, but I really feel like, how do you play defense now? How do you play defense in this day and age without constantly thinking? And, you know, you see players sometimes, they miss tackles. And you're like, well, what the hell's the problem? Why didn't he make the play? Maybe he's overthinking now. You know, because back in the day, you talk about Ronnie Lott, Ray Lewis, you know, John Lynch, Sean Taylor. These guys would just lay the boom on you, not think twice. You know, and maybe once in a while they'll throw the flag, but, you know, it's totally different. I feel like you're going to get to the point where, man, what a great third down conversion. Oh, wait, hold up, here's a flag. My buddy said that in one of our group chats earlier today, and it's kind of unfortunate because I do feel like it does take away from the game. And these guys are, yeah, they're multimillionaires, they're athletes, but they are human beings, and, you know, you want to have a life after football, so I understand, you know, trying to protect those guys. I just think it's going to hurt the game. You know, there's a lot of people already who think it's basically flag football, you know what I mean? So I don't know where you go from here, you know, but one thing I do want to point out is the fact that our beloved Detroit Lions, they did propose a rule change, and so the Lions rule adjustment has been passed. If you get a challenge right, you get to keep your challenge up to 3. Old rule was you had to get 2 challenges right before receiving a third. So if you get one of the 2 right, the third is going to be there, which is good because, you know, I think, too, with the NFL, you know, officiating has come under great scrutiny, especially over the last, I would say, 5 years. You know, and as we know in Detroit, you know, we've gone down it on some of our Detroit Lions specials where you can pinpoint all these different instances where, you know, they cost us ball games. And I think as far as that goes, I think that's a good thing, you know. My thing is deciding games, game-deciding plays should always be looked at. I mean, a call has to be a call that is so egregious that it's undeniable, in my opinion, because it's really about the players and the games, and, you know, you got fans and people that invest all this money, and I guess that's the allure of it, too. And maybe I'm all across the board on that, but I really feel like it should be decided by the coaches and players, particularly the players. You know, they're the ones out there busting their balls week in, week out. Coaches, too, not going home to their families, you know what I mean? And, you know, a ref they're part-timers, I know they put a lot into it, too. So I don't want to discount that job. But at the end of the day, like, those are the guys sacrificing their bodies and giving their all. And I think, you know, most officials are trying to make the right calls. But, you know, when the bullets go live, man, things get missed. So from that standpoint, we're in a day and age where you have technology up the wazoo. Why not use it? Why not use that to put out the best product you possibly can? anything short of that just doesn't make sense to me. So I hope they think about that, which I think they do. But again, it goes back to business. It is a big business, and they're going to do what's best for business. And, we'll have to see what comes of that. So with the rule changes, yeah. It's going to be trial and error. I think you're going to see a lot of flags in preseason this year. I think they're going to try to work out the kinks. But we'll see where it goes, man. I'm curious. I'm excited for the season, obviously, because we're coming off such a high with the Detroit Lions. And later on in April, obviously, we have the draft coming to town. A lot of movement. A lot of interesting stuff going on, moves being made. Kind of want to touch on, so we didn't really dive deep into it on our last podcast, but, my beloved Pittsburgh Steelers, they're my second team. Some people know that listen to the show, and I follow them closely. Big fan of Mike Tomlin and what he's got going on over there. Just never having a losing season, model of consistency. And I totally understand, why he brought Russell Wilson in and why he traded for Justin Fields, because after this season, their deals are basically up. You can move on. You got him for dirt cheap right now. And Justin Fields still has such high upside that if Russ doesn't work out this year and Fields takes over, I feel like, it's a win-win. You can sign him to an extension, build your team around him, which I think they're definitely good enough to make the playoffs. They're kind of that fringe team right now. But I think this is like a do-or-die situation for both those quarterbacks. I think those quarterbacks have reached a fork in the road where it's either going to be up or down, up or out, per se, because, you look at Russ, he had a good season last year. For whatever reason, fell out of favor in Denver. Peyton wants to do his own thing, build it his way. That's understandable. And Fields, you see, like Chicago, they're at a point where, okay, that contract's up, and maybe they start over with Caleb Williams. Who knows? Maybe there's a trade that happens, but he's probably looking around like, damn, what the hell? I feel like he kind of got a raw deal there, and I'm okay with it as a Lions fan, but if I'm a coach or a GM, I feel like I did him wrong, because I don't think they put the best team around him. Obviously, he's got to take some of that accountability as well. But for the Steelers, I think it's a great thing. Now, that quarterback room has completely changed. You ship Kenny Pickett off to Philadelphia, which is interesting. I don't know what that says for him, but yeah, it's definitely a sink or swim season. So we're going to see the trajectory of their careers, this season really work its way out. And shout out to episode 118 back there. If you're not watching me, watch that at least. Always, follow us on YouTube, subscribe, like, and share with your friends. And so let's talk the elephant in the room. Big news today. Diddy. Sean Diddy, Puffy Combs, whatever you want to call him these days. He had 2 homes raided, so in LA and Miami, in connection with a federal human trafficking investigation. So Sean Diddy Combs denied the meritless accusation waged against him as he spoke out for the first time following Homeland Security raids on his homes in LA and Miami on Monday. Yesterday, there was a gross overuse of military-level force as search warrants were executed at Mr. Combs' residences. His attorney, Aaron Dyer, said in a statement provided by Fox News Digital on Tuesday, there is no excuse for the excessive show of force and hostility exhibited by authorities or the way his children and employees were treated. Mr. Combs was never detained but spoke to and cooperated with authorities. Despite media speculation, neither Mr. Combs nor of any of his family members have been arrested, nor has their ability to travel been rescinded in any way. He added the unprecedented ambush, paired with an advanced, coordinated media presence, leads to a premature rush to judgment of Mr. Combs. It is nothing more than a witch hunt based on meritless accusations made in civil suits. So, there was, one last thing. There has been no finding of criminal or civil liability with any of these allegations. Mr. Combs is innocent and will continue to fight every single day to clear his name. So, there's that. That's where we stand. And then apparently, he fled the country, or his jet took off, whether it was him or not. I don't think that has been identified yet. But, it raises questions. It raises questions about, Hollywood and these stars. And, Cat Williams, that interview, I think it was in January on the Shannon Sharp show. I mean, it really put him under fire. I'm going to try to play a piece for this for you. For those that don't know, he was on Shannon Sharp and basically just going in on Diddy amongst other people. So here we go.
Turned down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting the body. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no.
Cat saying Puffy's a freak, man. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what is what. And at the end of the day, grown folks do what grown folks do. If it's behind closed doors, look, I can't speak for everybody on this show or everybody in general, but I don't give a damn what you do. If it's adult consensual sex, do you, man. But anytime it involves like children, and I don't know what's the truth, but you hear all this shit, and this can go beyond Diddy. But when it comes to sex trafficking, adults make poor decisions, right? They get themselves in these bad situations, and they don't know how to get themselves out of it. And I'm not trying to make light of it, but adults are adults. And my thing is, I just hope and pray there's no children involved, because there's no walking that back. There's an ultimate line in the sand for me, and you cannot have children involved in any way, because let's face it, a child doesn't have the will, and they're easily manipulated as an adult, right? Because adults can make those decisions with a good conscience, whether they're fucked up on drugs or whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. When there's kids involved, you should be dealt with a certain way, and I'll let your imaginations do the rest of that. But, I just, for his sake, I really hope not, because that's, like I said, that's terrible. That's a terrible thing. So we'll see what happens. More to come on that. I'm going to try to get my boy on the phone to get his take on it. So let's reach out to him. Let's see if he answers.
Yo.
Justjames, what up? Welcome to the Fives of the Week podcast.
What up? What's going on?
My co-founder. What's good, baby boy?
What's poppin', man? What's going on?
Not much, man. We had a little schedule conflict, so, I'm doing the damn thing by myself at the bar in my basement. So just rocking it out, bro, just keeping it moving, man. So everything good with you, first and foremost?
Yeah, everything's good, man. I just took my fiance to the airport. She's leaving for 9 days, going to Florida to see the fam. And I'm looking for parking right now back in the city.
Oh, that's what's up, man. Hopefully she has a good trip. Florida. My brother's going down there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Jeff's heading down there for a little vacation.
This week, right?
Yeah, he's flying out tonight, actually.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah, it should be, I think they're supposed to get good weather.
Oh, yeah, that's dope, man. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, the headline news this week, man. Your boy Sean Diddy Combs, New York's own.
Oh, man.
In a lot of heat, bro. So obviously he had his cribs raided, the sexual misconduct, these allegations, you hear all this stuff. You see videos, I think, wasn't it Cassie where it was like bunched up in a towel or a blanket, and he was like, belittling her and stuff like that. Did you see that?
Yeah. I saw that. I saw a little bit of that. I heard about a producer talking about everything he was made to see. I heard about covering up some murder type things going on, like a shooting in a club that was covered up. I mean, dude, I don't know how close have you been following this?
I mean, I've been trying to keep up with it. I just read a little bit on air, like what his attorney said, and Diddy, I guess, tried to, say he's going to fight this tooth and nail, that he's innocent and there's nothing going on. Now, the plane that flew out, was that him? Did they say that was him? Because this was from Monday.
Yeah, I heard he flew out. I heard he left. And because I thought, I don't know if I read correctly. The thing is, you never know what's real and what's not. But from what I thought I saw this morning was that wherever he landed, TMZ was there and got him at the airport where he was landing, like caught snapshots of him. So I didn't even know. I don't know if he got picked up. Do you know if he's in custody or?
No, I don't think he's been arrested yet. What's this? A music producer who sued Diddy for sexual assault in February added that Cuba Gooding Jr. to his complaint on Monday. So there seems to be more and more stars like getting added to it too, which is very interesting. And I just gave my take on, sex trafficking and things like that. Like, adults are adults, man. There was a guy that drove by, I guess it was his neighbor. This is all going live on TikTok or viral. And he was like, yeah, man, he's got buses of kids coming by at 3 a.m. in the morning. He's like, Diddy's a freak, man. I don't know what goes on. I just leave him alone. Something along those lines, right? Adults are adults, right? Consensual sex, whatever you do, whatever. But when kids are involved, I just feel like that there's got to be a hard line in the sand, man. Just unacceptable. You know what I mean? I have no remorse for people that do that shit. So I just really hope that it's not that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the wild part. I mean, that's even before you get to the people that are of age that are being abused and trafficking, or even if it's just some sexual assault and belittling, and there's so much stuff that I feel like goes into that, whether like it's grooming or what, all these terms that are being thrown around in different ways to manipulate people and blackmail people. Like, I heard he blackmailed some people, drugged some people, like some rappers, to perform some sexual acts. And, yeah, man, it's wild. It's wild stuff.
Yeah. Now, did you ever, I think we briefly touched on it when you came into town, but did you see the Cat Williams interview on Shannon Sharp? I mean, he said he was offered $40 million or $50 million like 4 different times, but he said he had to protect that virgin hole, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was trying to get that brown eye tampered with. He was trying to tamper with that brown eye, you know what I mean? He was trying to flick that line. So, yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Dude.
It's wild, man. Cat wasn't having it, bro.
No, man, he was like, no, not for I don't need that much money. I don't need money that bad. I'm good. It's crazy.
You thought about Terry Crews and Friday, man. He's like, he flew like a fish out of water. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That's wild. I don't want to change the person that we're talking about either, but it's kind of crazy when you think about these moguls, right? Like, you have R. Kelly, you got Bill Cosby, you got even Vince McMahon, right? Like, I heard they were coming at him for some stuff. And it's just wild, dude. Like, the things that go on when you're rich. And I'm not trying to crap on Vince McMahon either. I don't know the story behind that. I'm just trying to place him in the names of people that have been popping up lately. It's like there's something going on with people with power and money and sex. I think that's the weird thing that's happening. I think there's a certain amount of power and money that goes into going for that next thrill all the time and needing something even crazier or whatever, that goes into these decisions. And the more money you have, the easier you have access to all this stuff, whether it be adults or, unfortunately, kids. And it's crazy.
It is wild. Yeah, Vinnie Mac, he's in a lot of stuff. So he had to, the UFC and WWE, they joined forces to form TKO. So it's a brand new company, and McMahon was obviously on the board of directors, and he stepped down. But yeah, to your point, it's just crazy, man. Like, are these cats on the Epstein list? You know what I mean? Like, what is really going on? Where do all these missing children go? And I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but in general, like you're saying, I'm not trying to make light of, what happens to adults as well, because people can find themselves in a very vulnerable situation, whether drugs are involved, excessive force, and, my heart goes out to those people too. You know what I mean? I feel like there is levels to this shit, and it's crazy to me. It boggles my mind, but I feel like that Hollywood level is it's almost like they're on a different planet. Who knows the type of shit that goes down really? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what's even worse is you talk about Hollywood, people selling out their own children for money or contracts, or it's so wild. It's wild. It's like, I don't know, man. I'm with you though. Like when it comes to adults, that's a whole other conversation because you got certain people that like to get as close to they can as you know, to as close as they can to these parties and you know, I didn't even mention Hugh Hefner. Same thing, you know, he was supposedly doing some abusive stuff. But then you have the people that want to be part of that have dreams of being at the Playboy Mansion, that have dreams of being a house bunny, and are willing to do whatever it takes to go in there, even if they don't think that all this stuff is going to come with it. And so, like, I'm not even trying to victim blame either. It's not that. But it's just there's a whole different thing between kids who don't know what, you know, they can't consent. Mm-hmm. Versus adults, and even adults being abused sucks too. But I think people do need to draw that hard line with the kids and be like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Yeah,
no, I agree 100%. What do you think about the in Florida? Actually, DeSantis passed the law about social media, the bill, so like any child under 14 can't have social media. What do you think about that?
Man, I was thinking about this today, man, and I haven't been. It's so weird because I've been taking a step back from politics that crossed the radar. And, man, this is one of those things where you ever have something come up in your life that you never even had to think about before, and you have a stance on things, and then you're trying to apply your principle to it, but some things are so new that you're like, man, I don't even know what I think yet. You know, that's kind of where I'm at with that, because on one hand, I don't think kids should be on social media if they can't handle what comes with it. Yeah. And I don't think kids at that age really can. So it's weird, but I don't know how I feel about the government. I mean, okay, I guess I'm kind of working through this live, right? So I'll probably backstep a little bit, but I guess the government in the past has enforced laws that prevent kids from doing things like smoking cigarettes, right? Like, you know, buying alcohol, watching pornography. So maybe social media is one of those things that could fall under that category. I don't really know yet. I'd like to talk it out. I mean, we could do it right here live.
Yeah, for sure. Just collect your thoughts. I know I put you on the spot there, but I'm just going to read a little bit of this article. So, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill on Monday that'll prohibit children younger than 14 from joining social media in the state. Those who are 14 or 15 will need a parent's consent before they join a platform. The bill, HB 3, also directs social media companies to delete the existing accounts of those who are under 14. Companies that fail to do so could be used on behalf of the child who creates an account on the platform. The minor could be awarded up to $10,000 in damages. According to the bill, companies found to be in violation of the law would also be liable for up to $50,000 per violation, as well as attorney fees and court costs. So I guess, you know, what it comes down to, I think, you know, one, it starts at home, right? I think we got to be better as parents, you know, across the board. I think there's so much out there that is so accessible, more so as opposed to when we were kids coming up, you know, like it wasn't so easy to go see a pair of tits, you know what I mean? Like you had to go to like one of your friend's older brother's houses who had it on the back of his door or some shit like that, you know what I mean? Like now it's just all live, like free the nipples out there on Instagram. Like all these moms want to just show their tits and, you know, feed their kids. It's like everybody gets to see that now. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, it was not like that. And Snapchat, for one, like I know, you know, I've heard horror stories about kids getting in trouble at school, you know, people sending nudes. Like it's just so out there now. And I think as parents, you have to have those uncomfortable, you know, conversations with your kids at a younger age than you ever would have imagined, just so you can put them up on game and prepare them for the real world, man. So I think this is a step in the right direction. I don't like when the government has to get involved like that because I think that poses its own issues. But I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I don't also love the control part of it, you know. But I just wish that parents would take the initiative, you know, and I think that's really the big thing here.
Yeah, I mean, good point. After you read it too, I didn't realize, but the fact that, so if and correct me if I'm wrong, I might be misunderstanding, but it sounds like DeSantis is saying that if parents give consent or they're okay with it, then they're not going to be banned.
Correct.
It's more or less they need, basically like same thing with sex ed in school. You can take this class, but we need your parents to sign a permission slip.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not that bad. It's not as bad as it sounds.
For sure.
And I've been looking into that thing too, because especially with Ron DeSantis, there was the Don't Say Gay bill. If you look into that, it's actually not saying that. It's something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm terrible at retaining information as it is, but when I read it, it sounded way more reasonable. It was like, oh, it's just talking about like not discussing sexuality with minors, or kids within grade school. So I think he's already getting people giving him a bad rep for certain things that he said. But as far as this goes, my thing, I'm with you. I don't like control, but I also believe, it should be in the hands of the parents. That's what this sounds like it's doing, really. It's saying, look, we think this is bad. This has effects that we don't know how to mitigate yet. And so if you're this age, you need your parents' permission to be on these social media platforms. And I don't really have a problem with that in theory yet. Not that I can see an issue right away. The only thing really that I'm questioning is, like, what's the difference between, it's like you said, right? You were talking about pornography. Back in the day, you had to do some things to be able to see things. These things are readily available. My thing is, especially here in New York, right? What's the difference between being on a social media platform and having it segregated, basically? So this is the kid version, right? Or this is the 14 and below version, where anything that is sexual content will be flagged and removed, versus just banning kids entirely unless they have their parents' permission. Because in New York, let's say we're walking down Times Square and you see 3 peep show places in a row that are showing pornography. And then there's a movie theater and it has rated R movies where kids can't see them. What's the difference between kids being able to walk around in the real world, they still can't be allowed in, versus someone being on the platform but not being allowed to be shown certain things? I think that could be another step to take, like not a full ban without parents' permission, but more or less a different sector of the platform that's age specific. I don't know, what sounds better, or what are your thoughts on that?
No, I kind of like that. So kind of like on YouTube, like when creators create content, like you can say, is this for kids or is it not? I always say no, because, we talk about everything across the board. So it could be something along those lines. And I think Instagram has a tab for that. I'm not sure, but obviously, again, it's going to have to be monitored. I think the platforms have to do a better job of monitoring, but it's got to be tough when you have so many people that have accounts, and then you have bots and fake accounts and all this other shit going on. So it's got to be tough to manage, but again, it takes, certain individuals to be responsible, and as we know, that's easier said than done. But I do like that idea, having a, like a Facebook for kids, Instagram for kids, or just A and B, that way you get a choice. So you can actually, like, there's people that don't like to get involved in politics at all. They don't want to see any of that shit. I think there's a way on IG that you can just turn all the ads and all the political nonsense off, which is great in my opinion. I love that, because as well as I do, if you hop online, you're going to get a ton of ads for something that, like, hey, I want to learn how to fix my dishwasher. You're going to get nothing but ads about dishwashers. You know what I'm saying? So it could be anything.
Yeah, and also, because again, what's my fear of just pulling everyone off? Because maybe you can sort of reiterate this, because I don't know if this is a point that I missed. I thought I heard something about, like, anyone who has a current account, are those that's underage, their account's going to be removed if they don't get their parents' permission, or can they keep their account if their parents, the thing that sucks about that is, without having like a kid section or a kid friendly section of these platforms, so many of these kids, I think, have built a certain sort of foundation on these platforms. And as on one hand, as much as I like to be like, these social media platforms are not good for your mental health as children, I also don't know the repercussions that are going to come with cutting them off completely out of nowhere, full stop. Because, when you've built a base of some sort and now you become reliant on it, it's the same as almost anything else. And you can ask any hard-nosed conservative, even that, let's say, that hates welfare. Nobody wants to just full stop the welfare state. You have to sort of have a rollback, because too many people are dependent on something like that for you to cut it off completely. If you want people to be less dependent on something like welfare, you have to roll it back. You have to slowly wean people off. Same thing with addiction in anything. So I think the one thing that concerns me is the full stop to this stuff, as if that's not going to have effects as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And yeah, it does say in the bill, social media companies to delete the existing accounts to those who are under. Otherwise, they fall victim to getting fined. So, yeah, I mean, I'm with it, man. I mean, I don't know. Again, it takes some accountability on a personal level, parenting level. But it's tough either way. And as far as social media, like, I feel like I instilled and his mom instilled the good, solid foundation of what's right and what's wrong, right? There's a clear line. And every situation can be a little bit different. But, if you trust your child to make the right decisions and don't abuse it, that's one thing, and I think that goes on a account by account basis. But you got to know that too, And I think if maybe there's harsher restrictions if you violate it or abuse it, maybe there's a way you can get banned, maybe not just for a week like Facebook does or something like that, or 30 days. Maybe you're banned from the platform for a year. Let it really sink in, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times nowadays, you get a little slap on the hand and you're like, oh, fuck it, ain't no big deal. I'll be right back, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Maybe draw harder lines, force those restrictions, enforce them, I should say, and maybe you'll get a better result. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea too. I think the craziest thing, which I actually like about this whole stuff, is that at least we're sort of acknowledging now that this social media stuff was not, we didn't know what we were in for when we all signed up for this. And I think even if whether I agree with this or whether I have concerns or whether I do agree with it, but still, like, let me think it out, no matter what, I think that it's a good idea that, I mean, this isn't a federal thing, right? It's only state. So we're going to see how this plays out and the repercussions. But even me thinking about that, it's like nobody thought about the repercussions, or maybe they did, but you can never know where this is going to go. And this is what happens. Like, we started this internet thing, and then now there's social media, and we are facing a lot of things that we never thought we were going to have to deal with. And I think it's good that we're finally at least having concerns about that, because those things are, there's a lot of mental health issues going around and all types of things that need to really be addressed. And okay, maybe this person's not tackling it right. Maybe that person has a better idea, but at least we're trying now. There's something going on where people are talking about the issues. Yeah,
there's no doubt social media in abundance can pickle one's mind, right? Like, I mean, it could really mess you up. You can become addicted to it. I fall victim at times where before I lay my head down, I'm scrolling, I'm like, man, I really got to stop this. I need to shut this off. Like, have a hard cutoff point, and I got to, retrain myself to do that. There was a point in time where I didn't have to. But you mentioned a base for consumers, right? And particularly the young consumer. Like, you hear a lot of cool stories about, like, these streamers and things like that. They're able to make millions of dollars and change their families' lives. Like, I love that, so you don't want to take it away completely, but I do feel like restrictions should be had. You know what I mean? Because that's life in the real world, man. You don't get to do whatever the fuck you want to do. You know what I mean? Without repercussion. Yeah. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly think it's a good thing too. I just don't know what I guess, like, let's just say your son, right? He builds up a fan base for playing ball, you know, and that can turn into something like a possible scholarship, you know, and or just anything, some endorsements because other companies can see the fan base that he's built. It's one of those where I do think the control should be in the hands of the parents. So the only thing I was thinking of is just that full stop. This guy's stuff is going to get deleted. You know, I would just like to see a little bit more of like, you know, if this person has a fan base already and a thing going on here, some established thing, there should be a way to migrate that base, or at least keep that base somehow for those kids, or perhaps even give ownership to the parents. There should be some sort of slide over, you know, like in ownership at least.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it's just, that's the only thing I would say. I don't know, like I'm trying to think of an equivalent of something that would be really crappy, like almost like if you know how I feel like, okay, let's say kids, they did away with child acting out of nowhere. They were like, you know what, Hollywood's crazy. There's been too much stuff going on with children acting. We're not going to make any more movies with kids in them, unfortunately. But then a kid already has a bunch of films that he made when it was okay, and now wants to use that as a portfolio or a profile or a resume as an adult, and they're going to destroy all the work. It's like, but you worked really hard for this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, man, and it's going to be hard to really get a stranglehold on. We'll have to see how it all shakes out. Did you, switching gears a little bit, I kind of broke it down and went through the stats. It's just real unfortunate situation that happened in Baltimore with that bridge. Did you see that video?
Yeah, I did. We were just talking about that because I had to go over the bridge to take DeAndre to the airport, and it was like once we started getting closer to the bridge, the first thing we started talking about. Just that was crazy. Did you? So like I saw it was a transporter ship, right?
Yeah.
Or cargo ship rather, that I think lost power.
Yeah. So it hit the bridge, lost power. Is the equivalent of like a semi going under an overpass that's too high, you know what I mean? And it looks like it comes back on, goes back off. Apparently, the ship captain reached out. You know, they tried to shut the bridge down, but I guess there was, you know, there's 6 missing people, and it just looked like something out of like Final Destination or something. You know, it was crazy to see. I couldn't really believe my eyes when I watched that video. Like I said, it's online for people to see, but very, very unfortunate situation, man.
Yeah, it's like everyone's biggest fear. That's what DeAndre was saying. Like, it's everyone that crosses a bridge's biggest fear, except no one thinks it's going to be due to some vehicle of some sort collapsing into the bridge. Like, most people are just like, oh, I hope this bridge is built sturdy, you know, and doesn't fall apart. And this is just like nothing you can do about it. It's unbelievable. I couldn't believe that. I mean, how many cars were on the bridge, you know?
I have to go back and look at this. I want to say it was like 6 or 7 that they can't find, but from some of the pictures I seen, there was multiple cars on the bridge. Like even where it cracked in half, like on the pavement cracked in half. Not all of them went in the water, thank God, but it wasn't full by any means. But it's a big industrial area, you know, big for transportation of goods. So, I mean, like I was talking about earlier, it was, you know, it's going to be a big hit on, you know, the economy there in Baltimore too, because of all the businesses and families that are going to be affected by it.
Yeah, for sure. So you said 6 people are missing?
That's what I read, yeah.
Oh my gosh, man. I can't believe it. I would not want to be like the parent of one of those people or anybody, a loved one. That's so crazy to me.
Yeah, 6 construction workers are presumed dead because they can't find them. Oh
my gosh, man. God, that sucks.
Awful situation.
So was anybody in the cars hurt? Like anyone in the cars get killed or?
I haven't seen those numbers yet. I'm just kind of going off some of these headlines that I found. I looked at multiple, so I made sure I didn't have the wrong information out there. It's the last thing you want to, mess up. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a tragedy, man. Something you don't even think about, but it, like you said, it's an ultimate fear.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just so scary, but it's unfortunate. I couldn't believe it, dude. I honestly could not believe that. It's like you said, it looked like a movie. It didn't even look real. Yeah. I'm like, this is crazy.
Well, what else is new, man? Anything good happening out there in the Bronx?
No, man, nothing crazy, dude. I'm trying to think of, I was trying to think of something else that, like, maybe we haven't talked about in a while that was really, the funny thing is, ironically, it was that Vince McMahon stuff. I was wondering, I'm like, damn, dude, I wonder how Philly feels about this. But, like, what do you think about that stuff, though? What do you think about people just like, is it? I know you're a fan of it, but for me, I'm not, I could take it or leave it. Like, I don't hate that stuff. I think Homeboy built this crazy empire. Mm-hmm. But what do you think about some of these things? Like, when they hit, do you ever just, is there ever a point where you go, like, it's unfortunate, but I'm not surprised?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what it was with Vince McMahon. I can appreciate everything he's done for the business. Like, I'm having buddies over for WrestleMania, next weekend. Like, it's something that it was been instilled in my family. So, like, I love the product. I can appreciate what he's built. But turns out the dude's a whack job. He's into some crazy shit, sexual abusing women and, treating them like shit. And, like, this poor girl, like, he was into, like, scat play and all this stuff. And they say Brock Lesnar was involved. So there's all these different things. They got this huge lawsuit now. And yeah, I'm a big wrestling fan. That's not going to change that. Am I a Vince McMahon supporter? No, absolutely not. Because I think it's fucking horrible. You know what I mean? But yeah, like, again, with like you said, the moguls and these billionaires, and you literally have access to everything. So when these stories do pop up, it's shocking from, like, an average Joe standpoint, you know what I mean? Because you don't live that life, you don't understand it. It seems so absurd. It's crazy. It literally is crazy. I couldn't even imagine. And if that's what Hollywood's like, I don't want no fucking part of it. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And that's just real talk. But yeah, I mean, I'm still going to be a fan of the product. I think, as just like anything else, you build something, eventually someone else, especially businesses, someone else will take over. It'll keep running, or it'll fail. But for that, he built a juggernaut, and I think it's only going to continue to ascend. And it's, like I said, now they're partnered with UFC. Maybe they're going to get some cross promotion going on. Like they had Michael Chandler calling out Conor McGregor on Monday Night Raw. Now they got this whole different vibe about it. And, I think it's good. I just think it's good for the fan base. It's good for entertainment. It's good for the fight game, and it's good for pro wrestling. I just think it's a win-win, and it's just, it's unfortunate he can't be a part of it, but it's one of those things where he stuck around way too long. And I think had he got out earlier, who knows, this shit might have never came out. Thankfully for Janelle Grant, who filed the suit, she's going to get her day in court and, hopefully get some justice for that. But, yeah, as far as, wrestling, I'm not going to not watch it because of that, because it's not the wrestler's fault. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, absolutely. He employed a lot of people, and yeah, it's just some of these things, when these guys get caught and they come out, it just makes you go. It's weird how some of them you're just not surprised though, And I think that's what 50 Cent has been talking about and kind of making a joke about, really. But he's been very vocal and talking about, I knew Diddy was like this, y'all didn't listen and shit. And it's like, dude, but on some real shit, you can kind of see what he's saying about that. Like, people have been saying Diddy was shady and weird for all these years, and I don't know. I mean, and honestly, look, he's innocent until proven guilty. Yeah. So I don't want to just say these are allegations, but it's also just it's sad that we're like, I'm not surprised, But unfortunately, with that money and that power, just comes a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, it does.
before I forget, I don't mean to change gears either, but did you get a chance to watch the Roadhouse remake yet?
No, it's on my shows to watch. I definitely want to see it. Was it Jake
Okay.
Gyllenhaal and Connor, right? They're both in it.
Yeah. We just watched that. We just watched that on Saturday. Yeah, it wasn't even something I was gonna watch, but they wanted to watch it. We were hanging out with Deandra and her aunt for her aunt's birthday, and everyone was like, "Yeah, let's put it on." So it was it was kind of cool.
No, that's what's up. What's it streaming on? Because I might actually watch that tonight because I've seen a lot of people talking about it.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay, cool. I got that.
Yeah,
One of the many
I'm
streaming platforms now, bro.
yeah, I know. I'm surprised though. It was good. I thought it was pretty good. Like, is it the best? It's not the best, but I'm surprised at how much I liked it.
No, that's good. Did you ever see the Bob Marley movie?
No, I didn't. That was another thing I wanted to see. I recently watched the documentary of Bob Marley, and I was like, yo, this guy, such an interesting, iconic dude.
Yeah. It was, a lot of people said the same thing. Talked to a few buddies that seen it, and even my girl said, he's like, yeah, it was kind of hard to understand him, but that's how he was. That's the vibe, man. It'll be all right. Get your vibe. A little bit of Borat in there, bro. My wife.
Yeah. Yeah, man. No, but he was a talented dude, man. He's iconic,
Yeah.
He's iconic, and I honestly just think that it's so unfortunate how young he passed away.
Bro, yeah, 36. And just because he didn't want to take care of that cancer that was growing in his foot, man, they said they could take it off or I think amputate his foot, but he'd still be able to live a healthy life, and just refused to do so and just, lived his life as is, and unfortunately gone way too soon.
Yeah, that was sad, man. That was sad. It's so unfortunate. I think part of him was sort of skeptical of the meds that they were going to use, or even their I think it was their measures and possibly their opinions that he wasn't a fan of.
Yeah.
But and that led to some of his demise, which you can't really blame him, coming from where he's from and not really trusting a lot of that stuff.
Sure.
But
that makes sense.
It's just, but it's unfortunate, man, because it's like it's spread all over.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Well, hey, bro, I'm kind of up against it, so I'm going to take a pause. I really appreciate you taking some time to catch up, and I look forward to obviously going to see you sometime soon, and obviously the big day in September, brother. So for those that don't know, Justjames on the line. And he's a co-founder of Fives of the Week podcast, man. So thank you again, my brother, for hopping on.
Thanks for having me, man. I love you. I miss you.
Love you too, man. We'll talk soon.
All right, man. Later.
Right, see ya. So, yeah, my homie Justjames, haven't talked to him in a while. My man's getting married, all the good stuff, tying the knot in September, on my birthday, by the way. But great dude. Just always love to chop it up with them. So with that being said, we're going to take our first pause, and we'll be back with an exclusive interview with myself. All right, y'all, it's your boy Fillie, and I'm back. So this is something that I kind of wanted to do for quite some time now. I guess I just took the opportunity to do it here, and that's just do a self-interview. It's an article I found from Dragos Rau. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This is back from 2009, so kind of found it on the internet. And, you know, as a host of the podcast, you know, I enjoy just sitting there with my uncles and guests and friends and family and just taking it in, asking questions. You know, I can be a goofball, you know, fuck around with the best of them. But I guess it's an opportunity for my listeners to get a chance to know me as kind of the guy who steers the ship, I guess. I mean, it's definitely a three-way street between Grandmaster B and Hollywood. We all chip in and do our part. So here we go. We'll see how it goes. So I'm just going to go down these questions and answer them as honestly as I can. Number 1, what do you do for a living? I am a supervisor. Been with my company a long, long time. And I started from the bottom. You know, started as an entry-level employee. And over the course of, you know, almost 2 decades, you know, I worked my way to where I'm at. You know, and mid-level management isn't where, you know, I plan to stop, but, you know, that's where I am, and I enjoy it. You know, I've always been in leadership roles, whether it be coaching or, you know, projects or whatever it may be, coaching softball, you know, Little League, all those things. So I really enjoy it, and I think it translates well to the professional world. Number 2, easy. Who do you love? Number 1 is family, you know, my son, my parents, my brothers, my cousins, my grandparents, my dogs, who sometimes you hear on the podcast from time to time. Bella and Ace, love them. My girlfriend, she's awesome. She's great. She keeps me whole. You know, and my good friends. You know, I've been fortunate. You know, I have a lot of acquaintances, a tight group of friends that I hold near and dear to my heart. One was on the show today. 3, do you have enough money? Do you ever really have enough money? I mean, money doesn't make the world go around, right? But it always makes life a little bit easier when you do have it. But for right now, yeah, you know, to get by, yes. But of course, there's always that hunger for more. And definitely would like to attain more. I think we all will. Number 4, are you healthy? I would say for the most part, yes. You know, I've talked on the podcast from time to time about high cholesterol and things like that. You know, those types of things can run in family, be hereditary and whatnot, what have you. So, but overall, yes. Number 5, do you think you are a good person? And honestly, yes, I do believe that. Even though I have had my trials and tribulations throughout my life and have made a ton of mistakes, and I'm going to continue to make more mistakes. We all have skeletons in our closet, things we wish we hadn't done. But I think if you're not learning, you're not growing, you know, and I always am willing to grow, and I don't think about myself all the time. Am I at peace with myself? Yes, but, you know, I always want to be better, you know what I mean? So that's about as honest as I could give it to y'all. Number 6, how old are you? Well, I'm 37 years old, you know, and I got the salt and pepper to prove it, baby. You understand? You understand, Don? Number 7, who's your best friend? My best friend was on the show, Justjames. That's my boy, man. That's my ride or die. Unfortunately, my best friend from childhood passed away. I want to say, damn, it's been 4 years ago now. Yeah, I want to say 4 years. So me and Josh we were like brothers, man. You know, it was like yin and yang, though, 2 polar opposites. You know, I was more laid back, quiet dude, you know, but the hothead. He was that rambunctious, wild, in-your-face type cat, you know what I mean? But we always had each other's backs. You know, when someone needed a talking to, we'd keep it a buck, man. And I just think that's why it worked, and I miss him every day. And then Justjames came along, I think in high school, I want to say maybe his junior year. But we did music together. You know, we traveled, partied, all that stuff, man. And you know, I'm about to be his best man in his wedding, and that's my ride or die, man. So Justjames for sure, and Josh. So if I had to pick 2, there'd be 2. 8, what was your childhood dream? Well, there was 2 things. I really wanted to be a professional wrestler. I did the whole backyard wrestling shindig, you know, with my boys. And also a football player, probably first and foremost a football player, you know. I just completely lacked focus in high school. I was definitely, you know, bitter, you know, didn't have the guidance, the proper guidance I feel like I needed, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it was my choice. to party more, not focus, not hit the weights, not listen to coaches, you know what I mean? So I think in turn that's why I'm a coach now, is to try to give back and help that kid that's, lacking focus and get him back right, you know what I mean? So number 9, how often do you laugh? I laugh very often. Sometimes you hear me on this show, laughing like a freaking hyena, but that's just what it is. I think music, I'm sorry, not music. Well, music and laughing are two of the best things for the soul. Number 10, what makes you smile? Seeing other people happy, seeing other people prosper, that makes me smile. Seeing my family and friends do good, I think that's important. It just makes you feel good, you know what I mean? Most definitely. So, number 11, who's your most dangerous enemy? Without a shadow of a doubt, I think that's yourself, and I think for me, it's my mind, because oftentimes minds get pickled, you understand? But, it could take you places where you don't want to be. It can take you places where they don't got to be. It doesn't make sense. I think it's the most dangerous enemy you could possibly have. So if you can get out of your own head and control that, I think you're a hunter, man. I think you're on to bigger and brighter things. So learn that and continue to work on that if you struggle with it. 12, where do you live? Well, I'm not going to give you my address. I don't want no creeps, coming up at my door. Not saying any of you Fives fans are creeps or nothing like that, but, in Michigan, man. And I love Michigan. I always get asked, would you leave if you could? I would like to have a vacation home, preferably somewhere warm, nice and toasty, tan the cheeks year round, but I'd always have a place here. If I had the money to do it, I would definitely do like a Florida or shit. If I get the baller status, catch me in Mexico, man. That's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life. You know what I mean? But it would definitely be something like that. But yeah, I'm from Michigan, born and raised, and yeah, I love it, man. 13, do you think you're strong? Yeah, I do. I do. I think, those trials and tribulations that I talk about, and the things that I had to deal with and persevere through, I think makes you strong, Now, is there areas where I'm weak? Probably. Definitely areas I can get better, for sure. And we're all works in progress, And I get reminded of that time to time. But overall, I'm able to deal, man. I really feel like that, And I think people do look to me. And this isn't a pat myself on the ass type thing, but I do feel like people reach out to me because I am a good listener and I'm willing to hear you out and give you the most honest, advice that I can without being like over the top one way. Hopefully that makes sense. What was the most important thing you've done so far? Most important thing I've done so far is probably become a father, because I really feel like that saved my life. Because at a certain point when I was younger, I was just headed nowhere fast. Running the streets, doing shit that shouldn't have been doing. So yeah, I think, even there's area to grow there, I'm not always perfect. I'll be the first to admit that. But that's one steady thing that you can say with me as a father. I've been there and I've put my best foot forward and always tried. So I feel like from an importance standpoint, yeah, that's the most important thing I've done. 15, what was the most stupid thing you've done so far? Well, there's too many to choose from. Man, kind of put me on blast. I might have to come back to that one. 16, do you love yourself? Yeah, absolutely. Do I battle myself? Hell yeah. But, that's one thing about love is you have to love yourself in order to love other people and actually give the best version of yourself to other people. So I think it starts there. So yeah, short answer is yes, but there's a lot of layers to that. Number 17, what do you fear the most? I think what I fear the most is losing people I love. I think because that's infinite, that's forever. And losing few people very, very close to me was very, very hard. So I can say that with full honesty that for sure that's my answer. What is your favorite word Bitch! I'm just playing. Shit.
Come on, don't bullshit me.
I know, Arnold. My bad. Favorite word. I know people's least favorite word is moist. I like it moist. Skip. Favorite word. Oh, man, that's a tough one. I might have to come back to that one, too. 19. When was the last time you cried? You know, us as men, we never want to admit it. You try to be tough. But when I think about those loved ones time to time, like, I'll catch myself off guard. You know, it's been a minute. But yeah, I would say probably there's probably been a time within the last 3 months or so. You know what I mean? You just think back, you see a picture, you see something that reminds you of that person. You know what I mean? Yeah. Number 20, what is the best thing that could happen to you right now? Right now, just doing this, you know, doing a podcast, you know, having a family that loves me, a woman that loves me. You know what I mean? I have it happening, so I'm very, very grateful and thankful for that on a daily basis. You know, and I think, you know, you just bring that and you try to snowball that into the next day. What is the worst thing that could happen to you right now? I would piggyback off that previous question about, you know, losing somebody you love for sure. 22, picture yourself in 5 years from now. I really don't know what that entails. I would probably say, you know, hopefully the pod is doing well. Hopefully we're doing more things, traveling more, you know, moving up the ranks at my job. You know, financially, physically, health's still good. You know, I see things in a positive light. I'm definitely a glass half full type person where I see potential. You know, I try not to think of the negative. Like, yeah, I'd be 5 years old, I'd be in my 40s, over the hill, all that shit. But I really like to think positive because I believe you can manifest that, and you surround your people with positive people, or you surround yourself with positive people, and that'll go a long way to obtaining your goals. 23, do you regret anything? Not necessarily. Do I wish I would have handled situations better? Yes. Do I wish I wouldn't have said certain things? Yes. Done certain things? Yes, of course. But I think everything that happens makes you who you are. So nothing really sticks out as far as that, because I feel like at the end of the day, I at least put my heart on the table. And I tried in all those instances, whether I had the knowledge or not, you know, because if you have the knowledge you have now, you probably wouldn't have been in that situation in the past, for whatever that may entail. Number 24, what's the first thing you do in the morning? Well, based on my job, you know, I have to look right at my phone to handle business, and then usually go for a cup of coffee, hop in that shower, brush your teeth, you know what I mean, and then start my day. That's a must. Got to have the coffee in the morning. What are you thinking about just before bed? You know, it's kind of like a synopsis of the day. You know, you kind of recap it. You think of what's to come. Say my little prayer before I hit the sheets. And I'm not perfect with that. You know, there's days I miss, you know, but I always intend to do that, to be grateful and thankful for the day that was. And, you know, and hopefully have the gift to open your eyes in the morning. What was the highest point you've ever been to? Literally, that's what this question, that's what the description says. So I'm going to say flying, you know, however many thousands of feet in the air you are. You know, Florida, Vegas, Mexico, going back to Florida, went to Oklahoma, you know, yeah, so I'd probably say an airplane for sure. If there's one thing in your life you want to change right now, what is it? I would say maybe just change, you know, some people around me, their situation, you know. Like I said, right now, like, I'm not wealthy by any means, but I'm at a place where I'm continuing to grow, and I'm in the midst of that. And I really enjoy the adventure of that, where things are progressing, over the last year opposed to the year before, where things look very dark and grim. Things can switch if you stay steady. And they say slow and steady wins the race. You can come out the gate guns blazing and miss the details and fall flat in your face, because you forgot to tie your shoe. So, there's things like that happen all the time, So I try to pace myself, be grateful for what's right here in front of me, and enjoy the struggle when you struggle, too, because it's not fun, but you have to embrace it, because you're going to learn something from it, okay? No loss is just lessons. I know it's a cliche fucking thing to say, but it's so very true. And all those things add up, because there's going to come a situation in your life where you're like, man, I've been through this before. I can handle it. It might catch you off guard at first, but I promise you, reserve that information, because there's going to come a time where you can use it. Let's see where we at. Number 28. What are you proud of? I'm proud of my son. I'm proud of his resiliency. He was in a bad way a couple years ago, man. I'm so proud of him for fighting through that. He's a teenager, so that comes with everything that you think it does. And, proud of my family for where they're at, because they've all been through some things where, they've been in bad situations. I'm proud of where they come. I'm proud of, GMB in Hollywood and myself for sticking with this thing, through COVID, through, bad episodes, Like, we're still here. We're about to do our first live show. We don't have shit right now, but, 80-some subscribers on YouTube. But, we have a lot of listeners, and we continue to grow, and we continue to push through all the difficulties we've had. So I'm very, very proud of that. Sum up your life in one sentence. I would say, the trials and tribulations make you who you are. And that's been my life. The ups and downs, the ebb and flows of life have made me who I am today. I'm a pretty well-rounded individual. I have my flaws. I could be stubborn, get in my own head, overthink things at times. But overall, I think that would sum it up good, because, through all those little nooks and crannies and, when you fall down, you keep getting back up type shit, like, it's so true. You just got to keep going, because life does not stop for nobody. One day we are all going to leave this earth, and all you have left is what you leave behind. Not from a physical standpoint, but like from an emotional standpoint, how you made people feel, your impact on their lives. And like I said, I made it a point, I had a long relationship end, and I was like, from this point on, I just want it to be a positive experience, when I interact with a female. And I would think for the most part that's been the case. When I interact with friends, I want to be a better friend, because I wasn't always that. A better father. There's times where I still get an attitude because, hey, I got to get up early, got to pay the bills, that fridge, just opens all the time, you know what I mean? But like, I got the small things, the little things. You don't stress them, but you also appreciate them in a different sense. So all these little life lessons you learn as you go. And I think that's important. Name the one thing that annoys you the most. We did a show on this, and I think, there's a few people, in my life that do this in all aspects. But it's like when you don't stop talking and you don't listen. Like, please, not everybody can be a great listener. But just when I don't feel like I'm being heard, because I give everybody the utmost opportunity and respect, all I ask for is a little bit in return, So I think that would be the biggest thing. It just, I don't know, it just gets under my skin. What is your number one question to God? I would say was I good enough? Was I good enough to get in? And I know that opens up a whole thing where, do you believe in that? Do you not believe in that? And that's okay. People believe what they want. I choose to, I feel like it's played a pivotal role in my life. And I'm not a holy roller by any means, but I've always had my relationship, and for me, that's good enough. And I hope it is good enough. So I would ask him that. Number 32, do you have secrets? Yeah, of course we all do, right? I mean, They wouldn't be called secrets if you told everybody, It just might be how you feel or how you felt about someone or, but I feel like as I get older, like you just, you have to keep less of them, you know what I mean? Because you find people that you love and you care and there's no need to keep them. But there's been points in your life where, you might be ashamed of that or, you know what I mean? People just don't need to know. So, yeah, we all do. Number 33, what makes you laugh? Man, I'm like a child at heart. Low-key, just a child at heart. I can laugh at anything. I mean, we sit there, we have talks about with Cheech and the guys about, eating ass or, it could be anything. Impressions, me, G&B, Hollywood, we always do impressions and things like that. Like, I love that. It always gets me going. And number 34, are you happy? Yeah, I would say I'm happy. I think you always have a hunger for more, right? Or most people do. And some people get completely content, which is great. But you want to challenge yourself, but am I happy right now? This is honest answer is yes. I feel like people around me are doing good. I feel like I'm doing good. And I think that's the goal, right? At the end of the day, you just want to be happy. You want to have a roof over your head. You want to have a little money to go out to eat, maybe take a vacation, things like that. So, yeah. Short answer is yes. So let me backtrack here. I know I missed a few. What is your favorite word? I would have to say bus. I'm going to say bus. There's one more. What was the most stupidest thing you've done so far? Stupidest thing I think I've ever done was, not make excuses for not getting a hold of somebody or, not acting, but like allowing myself to be too busy to spend time with those people that you truly care about. Because, again, tomorrow's not promised. The rest of the day is not promised. So if you're thinking or on the fence about making a call or hanging out with somebody, having that experience, having that conversation, and holding grudges, I think that's one of the dumbest things you can do too. I've been a big advocate of that for a long time. And I tell my family and friends that holding grudges is silly because you're allowed to be pissed off. You're allowed to be mad. You're allowed to feel how you feel. But if you let that fester and continue to take over your mind and your emotions, it can snowball into other things, and you really don't need that negative energy in your life. So with that being said, that's a 34 question self-assessment, being as brutally honest as I could possibly be. I hope y'all enjoyed it. This is episode 119. Miss GMB in Hollywood this week. They'll be back next week. We do have our wrestling special, so stay tuned. And as always, follow us on YouTube. Listen to us on Apple, Spotify, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Thank you for tuning in. Love y'all. Be good.